that everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hey, welcome one and all to I Am Nature. Brian Porter here with my amazing producer, Angela Block. How you doing, Angela?
I'm doing fine. Thanks so much for asking, Brian. How are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. Excellent. Yeah, we're we're going to do a show that's kind of going to be a mix of different things tonight. Unfortunately, the guest I had planned to come, she's an awesome lady. She's an enviro lawyer, and she's working in Europe on a couple initiatives. Her name's Mumta Ito. I'm not sure what happened, but, it's 11 o'clock their time, and maybe something came up, an emergency. She does have a child, so I don't know what happened. But what I want to do is just, Angela, is just review some of the stuff that she's doing there, because I think that it's germane to what we need to do here. I mean, some of her ideas, she's got 2 initiatives that I'm aware that she's working on, so I just want to review those with the audience and get people going in the chat room on these ideas. Now, the first one that she was working on, and I wanted to talk to her about, but unfortunately she's not here, is called the European Citizens Initiative, and there are 2 parts to it. The first one was actually to promote the use of a direct democracy vehicle. So the way this works is that you get 7 different people from different countries in the European Union, which is quite large. I think there's how many countries in the European Union, Angela?
Let me check for you. Hold on one second. EU.
I'm teasing you. I think there's at least 30, but around that number. And you only need 7 people from different countries to sign on to this initiative. And what you can do is you can actually create your own legislation. So you don't even have to be elected into government to have an effect on the polity.
28 members. 28.
28. Okay, so I was pretty close to 30.
Yeah, you were close.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that we need here. I mean, I know we had that. You guys had that referendum on GMO in California, and that's the same idea. So I mean, this is the kind of thing that if I run, I don't know. I'm thinking of running for the Ubuntu Party. We'll get to that later in Canada in the next election. That's the kind of thing that I'm going to push for big time, because we got some really serious issues that we got to deal with. And I think the quickest way to get them out there is through things like referendum. Now, the other thing that Mumta was working on was something called the rights of nature. Now, just in case you guys don't know about I Am Nature, this is the show that focuses on big time on we're looking at enviro issues and solutions, because, we're doing things to the planet that we don't have to do. There are solutions. There are alternatives to everything we're doing that is not right. We have ways to create power, actually infinite amounts of power that are completely safe and green, but we've chosen to use things like absolutely toxic things like nuclear and carbon. And so it's just a matter of getting rid of this stuff, folks, and converting. I mean, this is not rocket science. The problem is that the public isn't kicking up enough of a fuss to get it to go. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm encouraging. And, I work with groups that are doing that kind of stuff. And actually, there's a big, another environmental issue is GMO. There's a big worldwide protest coming up on March 23rd. So I'll be talking about that soon, too.
Okay.
That's an important issue too. So there's a whole bunch of things out there, folks, that we got to get involved in. There's just no reason not to be. Okay? If you think you love yourself, if you think you love your children, if you think you love this planet, there's no excuses, folks. You got to join a group. You got to get involved. At least that's my opinion. Does that make sense to you, Angela?
Absolutely. It's you are walking the walk, Brian, and I'm watching you connect a lot of people and really inspiring people to start to feel that they can take a stand and do something positive that creates change and solution based thought process. It's good. I mean, I am gravitating. I'm obviously one of the, I don't want to call myself a shock jock, but I tend to bring up a lot of bad news from time to time, and I'm really glad that you are here helping us see that there are solutions going on the planet, and there are different ways to find your niche in that particular in your particular field of passion, if you will.
Yeah, and we were talking last week about this new eco village coming together in Newfoundland, Canada, and you've gotten involved in it. I mean, you've been talking with the people involved. Are you having a good time? Is it like a drag out? Is it the kind of thing like, oh God, I have to talk to these people?
It's great. I really enjoy myself.
Is it not like a stimulating thing, a fun thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Talking about personal greenhouses and different models of greenhouses, sustainability, underground living, tiny houses, barter, goods and services being exchanged among communities. And growing your own organic food and learning trades, and basically it's been an amazing ride just these past few weeks that I've met these people through you, and hopefully we'll have hopefully we'll have Robin on in a little while to talk a little bit more about his project that we're involved with, which is the Gosse Foundation, which is going to be the first eco community in Newfoundland and I think in Canada. Is that correct?
Well, it's there's a whole range of different communities already existing. There's intentional communities, which are usually small, right? Maybe 20 people max.
Oh.
But the thing about this community that's really cool is that it actually is going to try to create some standards. It's going to be very involved with the university community, and it's going to be top-notch level research. We're going to share all the information. It's going to become, like I said, the Findhorn of Canada, because Findhorn has set the bar high over in Scotland. Mm-hmm. They've got, according to my third guest, Dr. John Apsley. I mean, I can't believe, I honestly, God, Angela, the way things have come together on this show in like 5 weeks is just unbelievable.
It really is amazing.
I think he's going to talk to me about remediation for radionuclides, plutonium, whatever, floating around in the air from Fukushima and all the other plants that are leaking. What does he want to talk about? He wants to talk about Findhorn. I couldn't believe it. So a lot of stuff gets back to Findhorn, an incredible bar that they've set for the planet. I mean, they have the best food. They know how to grow things there. It's not quite as harsh as Newfoundland. And they also have incredible water. And when you live within those sorts of environments, okay, you end up being strong, intelligent, devoid of illness pretty much. I mean, the consequences for humanity are just tremendous. And it's so important that we recognize these close to perfect places on this planet, because it shows people that there are answers and that some people are benefiting from being in these places. They offer courses on well-being. They offer courses on meditation. They offer courses on all sorts of spiritual development. I mean, there are answers, folks. But unfortunately, we live in a society where those things aren't being talked about. And I would think, and this is one of the things I'm trying to do here too, is trying to get people who work here and are the rebels to start talking more about solutions too. Because, I mean, if we just talk about problems and we don't offer solutions, people start to give up. And I think that, to be honest with you, that's what's happened all over the place in North America. Too many people have given up and said, oh, well, it's too far gone, forget it. And I think that that's part of the problem, and we got to change that.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah. So it's all upbeat. We're all having fun here, and I'm telling you, it is fun to get involved. I meet the coolest people on Facebook, people that are doing stuff, and they're all pumped up. It's just, God, it's so much fun. I mean, you just got to get in on the party, guys. It really is a good time. So let's get back to the rights of nature. Now, this is not new. Rights of nature stuff has been going on for the last 10 years all over the planet. Bolivia, Uruguay, I know Nepal, different places, different countries like that. They've all got very strong legislation now saying that basically nature has the same rights as we do, and that, if you start messing with the natural systems, things that are going to affect the agricultural lay of the land, or, the rainforest or whatever, you can be held accountable as a company, as an industry, and even as a government. And people can come forward and say, hey, no, we don't want this happening. Oh, well, you broke a law, you're going to have to pay for it. So everyone's going to be held more accountable due to these laws. And so, this is working at the macro level. We got to work at both levels, right, Angela? We got to get people living closer to nature, growing their own food as much as possible, or at least knowing a farmer that grows organic stuff. That's baseline. Okay, you got to get your own water. You cannot trust muni water. It's just killing everyone. I have a friend, he's pushing to get rid of fluoride and all this stuff. I said, buddy, what about the other 24,000 chemicals that have been found in muni water? Honest to God, all these people that are doing this stuff, that's the other thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get people to set priorities. Okay, there's a lot of people fighting fluoride, and I'm telling them, hey, it's great that you're doing this, but you're not making a hell of a lot of difference when you take the fluoride out of the water. There's just too many other things in it. Does that make sense, Angela?
Yes.
Yeah, we got to set our priorities, people. We've got to realize that we got to work together. We got to look at what are the top issues that we're dealing with. That's why I had Dane Wigington in the first week, right? And we talked about geoengineering and how devastating that was. And, we were joking about both of us getting the geoengineering flu. And it's kind of funny. We had the same symptoms. I'm pretty much through mine, but you're having the same thing, right? You just cough for no reason.
Yeah, it's almost gone, thank goodness. I really, I was down, it started with a really low energy thing, and that's been kind of a constant throughout the whole thing. And then, I got the sore throat, I got the congestion, I got the lung sinus thing, and my husband got the fever. I did not. I got it from my husband, and what else did a lot of congestion, a lot of coughing, a lot of sore throat, and just a real low energy situation. I'm still just coming out of it, and I'm glad to be on the other side of it, but that was 10 days. And I even I'm going to admit it, but I actually decided to do some antibiotics. The last time I took any antibiotics was a few years ago, and I did a 5-day series of zithromycin, and it did seem to. I tried to head it off at the pass this time. So, and I think that also made my body tired in these last few days. So I'm not a big fan of antibiotics, but sometimes you really gotta, sometimes you just gotta kick it. And I was not ready to be ill for like 2 months like everyone else. So I'm bad.
You took the easy way out. Oh, I'll tell you right now. I tried everything I knew, and I knew lots of herbal remedies for things, and they usually work. But with this, it did not work. So I did the same thing. I went to the clinic. I broke down. I sold out.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And I watch other people.
And I got some antibiotics. People are like saying, well, was this guy nuts or something? I said, no. But generally, I run my life by eating well. Drinking, I get my water from an artesian well. It's free of charge in a beautiful little community near here called Ancaster. It's been flowing there for years, and it's a great source of water. And so I'm usually healthy. I don't usually get sick, but for whatever reason, this thing hit me, and the same symptoms: low energy, coughing a lot. I had pneumonia like 9 years ago. That was probably the sickest I've been in my whole life. And that was, I thought, God, I don't want to get pneumonia again. So I did go with the antibiotics, and it really did help, so I'm glad I did that. You do what you can, right? If you have to use the Western system, you have to use the Western system. And let's face it, antibiotics are, natural. It's right. It's a form of bacteria.
Well, yeah, the zithromycin, I don't think that's very natural. The amoxicillins and that type of thing, but I'm not a fan of those.
That's what I went on, amoxicillin.
Oh yeah. See, I can't, as a female, I'm not a fan. It's that creates yeast, obviously. And,
no, you gotta take, you gotta be careful.
But, It's but I also did, I loaded up a bunch of garlic and onions and a lot of herbs and stuff into a homemade spicy soup, and I did that. Did colloidal silver, I have to say that while I was sick, I didn't get to the point where I've been to where I've been dragging myself to the doctors and just in full blown pre-pneumonia stages, and I was just glad that it didn't get too bad, although just the energy thing has been really, really kind of toying with my brain. But yeah, I talked to a couple people and they're like, "What do you got?" And I'm like, "I got the chemtrail flu, baby." And
Good for you.
And there's still so many people that are just, completely, "Oh, I've never heard of that." That's what someone said to me yesterday, like a friend of mine who I'm not friends with through the Truther movement. She says, "I've never heard of that one." I'm like, "Oh." Well, so I tried to explain it.
Dane had the same thing. I says, "I can't believe I'm sick. I don't get sick." He lives a good life. He's been off the grid since 1970. That's tremendous. He was one of the world leaders in getting off the grid. He's a solar expert, and I'm sure he has his own source of food there. He's probably got a greenhouse and everything. The guy knows how to live, no doubt about it. And and he said, "I got this thing. I got this sinus congestion, just like you have." He said, "And there's the only way I could get it because I don't go out much." He says, "I don't, we're out here in the mountains," and he has a huge spot of land there, and he said the only way it could come in is through airborne contaminants, and we all know where that's coming from. So that's why I coined it the GMO flu, or the geoengineering flu. And it's a great way to. And then people started saying, "Oh, what does that mean?" And then it sort of starts conversation going. You start to educate people on what are the real problems we're facing here. So that's why I coined it that way. Okay, well, maybe do you want to get Robin in here now?
Sure, I'll drag him in. I think he had to switch devices. I also wanted to say I spoke with Mark McCandlish. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's going to be giving a presentation at the Oregon Project Blue Skies group, I believe on Monday, and I'm going to have him on my show soon. So we're going to talk about the aerosols in the sky, the forest aerosol situation, which are commonly known as chemtrails. So it's aerosol spraying. I don't think people are realizing that. It's so funny just to still talk to the people that are in complete denial. Isn't it odd? So I do my part, and, I try not to roll my eyes when I have to re-explain the whole thing again. I try to make sure that I realize that I'm talking to somebody who might be interested and may look up and notice, although, I would highly recommend protective wear if you're going to look up.
Well, actually, the correct term, because there's so much garbage under chemtrails, we're supposed to use geoengineering or a engineered climate control, or HAARP, HAARP.
Right.
Then you'll get better information, or even better, just go to Dane's site, geoengineeringwatch.org. That's right. Then you're getting right to the source of all the good information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we brought Robin Gosse onto the show, and he has blessed us with a cough.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Robin.
Thank you
How you doing,
much.
Robin?
Better.
I hear you're a famous guy these days. You're very popular with the media.
He's not answering.
Oh,
are you there?
Am I in?
Yeah, you're in. We're all live here. Oh, we lost Robin. Oh,
Did
there
we
he
lose
is.
him? Are you
He's
back,
in Newfoundland.
Robin?
So, are you there, Robin?
Oh,
he's sort of there. They get big winds up there. It's far.
Oh. Winds.
Yeah.
Winter hurricanes is a better way of putting it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, so I have to tell you, we've been talking about the Gosse Foundation and the eco community that Robin is basically founding, and has been a dream of his for 15 years. And I got to produce your show, and that's how it was the first show I produced of yours. And I was so happy to get to know the people, and I've watched you guys just explode exponentially on Facebook and contacting all kinds of different people on so many levels. Experts and people that are interested in joining the eco community movement, et cetera. And what was I going to say? Oh, but I did find out that one of the proposed one of the proposed, living situations, there's some subterranean possible, units for people to live in. That's one of the designs. The tiny house is another design. And the subterranean, particular, shelter, it has no windows. And so for me, I love the ideas of everything, but I have to tell you something. I want windows. Okay. Hi, you're back. You're back. I'm just letting you know, I was talking about the subterranean housing possibilities, the development, that version of places that people can live in the eco community. As I was telling them, about your development that's happening right now, the Gosse Foundation up in Tier. I think I said it wrong, I'm sure. But anyway, I just have to finish my thought, which is, so if it's underground and there's no windows, I'm going to go ahead and say, nah, not my thing. And if it's a tiny house that's 64 square feet, I'm probably also going to have to say no. So I don't know if I'm actually the right candidate. I mean, I'm going to need, I'm going to need at least 1,500 square feet for myself. I do. I just want 1,500 square
Energy
feet.
Energy pig.
Not necessarily. I can light a fire and use candles. No, not at all. I just, I like to put my stuff out. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm thinking. I'm just like, I can't imagine me to ask my husband. We cannot imagine me in 64 square feet. Anyway, I'm just.
What do you say,
I'm
Robin?
being lighthearted about it.
Do you expect me to respond to that?
No, not really.
Well, I want you to know what do you think you're going to have problem finding people who want to live? It's actually not 64 square feet. Is it, Robin? It's a bit bigger than that.
When you have two people who share a space, you would each have basically 64 square feet, given the particular size of a tiny house. And I'm of the opinion that all people are entitled to have their views, even if they're wrong. So I've been married long enough to learn that. So in response to your first objection, have you ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Yes, and they're not objections. These were thoughts of mine as I was waiting for you to come back onto the call.
I see.
Objections. I was commenting on my initial thoughts for me, Angela. And a Hobbit house is another really awesome thing. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going to fit in that mix. I am.
That's okay. Unless you're 3 feet tall, a Hobbit house might be cramped, but I can make you a scaled up version. The reason why I mentioned the Lord of the Rings is that the Hobbit houses were far from dark, dank, little mossy holes in the ground. There are a number of ways you can cause a bermed, B-E-R-M, a bermed house to be comfortable and bright. You could use light tunnels, which is like a skylight, but it's almost like a stovepipe that's reflective on the inside, that can funnel light around corners into a space, any room, even in the back of a Hobbit house. You could have access that way to sunlight. I actually have blueprints of Bilbo Baggins' house, Bag End, from Lord of the Rings movies. I'm sure you both believe that. All the bedrooms were on the window side, because Bag End was built in the top of the tallest rolling hill of the Shire. So all the bedrooms were in the front of the house. The cellars, the bathroom, what equivalent the hobbits used, the pantries were all in the back of the house, where light wasn't necessary. So the best bedroom, actually, it's actually in the blueprint, best bedroom, had 2 windows. And these windows had deep sills, and Hobbit houses are meant to be comfortable because of the contrast meant to portray in the story. They were hedonistic, and Bilbo just happened to be harangued into it. But Hobbit houses are quite comfortable if they're designed properly. There's even an example, I forget the name of the village. It's a community in Australia that is built in an opal mine. And over 100 people live in residences as much as 1,000 feet below ground, if I'm not mistaken, with no windows of any kind. And they are quite comfortable. I've actually seen this building. There's a documentary I watched on it. And they used sunlight frequency lights, and they had rapid air exchange, and it really was quite comfortable. But unfortunately, I don't have any opal mines to build in the community. But bermed buildings are one thing we want to research. I actually know some people who are just above 4 feet tall, so hobbit houses seemed appropriate. Though tiny houses are one example of a logic we want to explore, where many of them are 8 feet by 16. So you're talking 128 feet. That if 2 people share it, you'd each have basically 64 feet each. But it's enough space for a loft above, and it's basically built on a motorhome, an RV, travel trailer type model. The bathroom has a shower, toilet, sink in one little area, and the kitchen is very efficiently laid out. It might not have a dishwasher, but it has, 2 elements. It has a single bay sink. Part of the issue that people have to get past is you don't need 1,500 square feet just for yourself, Angela. It's entirely possible to live quite comfortably on a whole lot less.
Okay.
And I think you might be pleasantly surprised how comfortable you'll be if you have a space designed specifically for your needs and your comfort. If you, I personally spend most of my life in my office. I work full-time plus at my job, and I also, I'd say, punch 30, 40 hours a week besides on this Eco-Village project. So my office is my happy space. I don't really care where I sleep. I could live on a sofa. But if I have a space designed with a fantastic office, I can be happy. It's the same kind of philosophy in realty that you don't buy a house. You buy a kitchen, or a bathroom, or a den. The house comes with the rest of it. That's why building your own custom house is so hard, because you make the best of everything and you spend 4 times as much as you would if you settled on just your favorite room.
Yeah, and Robin, too, you're going to have more than just a house. You're going to have a greenhouse attached to these tiny homes, right?
Yes. The current model we're going with right now, which may be liable to change, every domicile in the first phase of construction, the first neighborhood, we're expecting a dozen tiny houses, which will be 8 by 16 or 16 by 16, depending on the habitation. And attached to each one will be a greenhouse, anywhere from 15 feet by 15 feet to 20 feet by 20 feet. Will be the model we're testing, big enough for one family to maintain between 5 and 10 hours a week and feed that family plus their neighbor, is our goal. Full-time, all year round. They won't need to buy groceries ever again because the nutrients are covered off by this greenhouse. Every house will have one. So a lot of the home heating, a lot of the fresh air, a lot of the water recycling, the air recycling will all be taken care of in the greenhouse. So you don't need a furnace room. You don't need a room for storage. A lot of these things can happen in the greenhouse itself. And you have basically an open area to be comfortable and sit down and read a book in the sunshine, even in winter.
Sounds like we're going to take in a break here, Robin. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thanks for joining
palatable.
us on I Am Nature.
Sorry to interrupt there. It's I Am Nature, everyone, with Brian Porter. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to I Am Nature with Brian Porter, and my great producer Angela Black is here, and I guess it's time for a station promo. I'm being reminded here. So you're listening to freedomslips.com, the best place on the planet to get information on what's really going on this planet. We have the most incredible lineup of shows. Everybody's into alternative media. Everyone knows what's going on. If you really want to know, what's happening with your government or with your money or you name it, we got all the shows here. You got to check it out. freedomslips.com. It's not just this show that's worth listening to. And, of course, my partner in crime here, Angela, has her show on tomorrow night, right? 10 o'clock?
Yes. I have a show called At This Moment tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern, which is 11:30 Newfie time. Wait, I'm now thinking of Newfie time. It's crazy. And that is 7 p.m. Pacific. And tomorrow night, I don't know, it's kind of going to be a free-for-all tomorrow night. I purposely left February kind of open so I could see what the communication gods would bring me. So that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, and let me
it's
remind
nice to
everyone that we are listener-supported. So if you find yourself at the homepage, freedomslips.com, you can go up to the top of the homepage and you'll see a support button. We would highly recommend that you visit that, and you can end up with fabulous prizes if you donate a few bucks, including things like seeds, 35,000 seeds, 54 different varieties, non-GMO, non-hybrid. And that's for a donation. Also, we have the 2014 archive DVD of all of your favorite shows from 2014. If you're now finding yourself interested in a new show and you're wondering what they talked about all last year, you can go and purchase that. It's $30 with plus shipping. And then the other thing is you can subscribe to the archives and get your show basically like the next day. And that's very helpful. That's like $5 a month. It's crazy. So there's many different ways to support this listener-supported beautiful station that we work on. So please find yourselves visiting ways to help keep this boat floating. There you go.
Yes. And you know what? I think the best value is the $100 seed pack with the survival guide.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you need it's all on a DVD, it's my understanding. So it's very compact. And I mean, how to cook everything, how to grow a garden, how to make houses. In a pinch, the same kind of stuff we're going to be making. How to make houses out of rammed earth and you name it. I mean, everything, folks, you need to survive. And when you need it, it may not be available, right? Yeah, so This is the best $100 you've ever spent.
That's so true.
You get these 35,000 seeds and you get all this information. I got to check this out one of these days because I got some seed, but I could probably use more. So I might be investing in that myself. So it's just an incredible deal, and the Hawk is just the guy knows what he knows how to survive. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's got a big farm. He plants his own seeds that he's giving the opportunity for us to purchase or actually donate and then receive that fabulous prize, however you want to put it. So Hawk is he walks the walk. You do too, Brian. Robin, your guests today, Robin Gosse on the show, and everyone's walking the walk. It's pretty cool to be around awesome people. I talk the talk. I'm starting to walk the walk. I'm the twaka. That's me.
Well, I mean, hey. You're doing great work, Angela. I'm telling you, you're open-minded and you're learning a lot from being on my show. And
I am,
and you've really helped me out because producing isn't my forte, not yet, anyway. So I'm really happy you're here.
Glad to be here.
Robin, are you still around? You still listening?
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the things we wanted to talk about, we'll get away from the Eco Village for a sec, is that you're kind of in an interesting groove with your job too, because it kind of relates to what we're doing. But maybe you should talk to the audience about what your job title is and what you do over there in Newfoundland.
Sure. In October last year, I was hired on as the operations manager of the Western Newfoundland and Labrador, that's our province in total, Western Newfoundland and Labrador Developers Cooperative. Our mandate is social entrepreneurship, where we oversee job creation programs, innovation and rural development, and economic stimulus for the entire west coast of Newfoundland. It's about 100,000 people in our area, and we're talking 600 or 700 kilometers long by maybe 300 kilometers wide. It's a fair-sized swath of land. And it's all outport communities. There's 83 different towns in the whole area. Great diversity of culture. And unfortunately, the changes in Alberta's economy is hitting Newfoundland pretty hard because most of the laborers in Alberta are Newfies. So when they lose work, we lose work. And it's pretty much a snowball effect. So my job is to help improve the lifestyle of people in the area by creating programs and teaching, helping to create workshops and awareness of different programs. Like everyone else, our biggest enemy is ignorance. If you aren't aware of a social welfare program that can make your life a little bit easier, that's made available to you by the government, there's no reason why you can't avail for it unless you don't know it exists. So that's part of my job too, is promoting awareness of government programs, job creation, helping people with their EI claims, starting businesses, all that jazz. Social entrepreneurship.
Yeah, we were just talking about the abundance of wildlife up there. I mean, it sounds like a hunter's paradise and a sailor's paradise. I mean, dolphins and whales coming right up to boats, and not a few, but we're looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of these incredible, masterpieces of nature coming around and being friendly. And I mean, there's just an abundance of beauty up there.
Absolutely. 1/3 of the entire province's population is in our capital city, and half of our population is within 100 kilometers of the capital city. We're talking a province that's 400,000 square kilometers. So there's a lot of unspoiled area. The average density is 1.1 persons per square kilometer. That's including the population density of our capital. So when you have areas this size, we've got 140,000 moose at most recent census data, 35,000 caribou. We had some of the largest fish stocks on Earth. The waters, especially off the East Coast, I think 1/3 of the world's crab comes from Newfoundland and within 200-300 nautical miles of Newfoundland. Most of the world's shrimp come from this area. And our primary industry was cod fishery before '92, when the moratorium hit and everything shut down due to failing cod stocks. But now, with significantly fewer fishers, we now harvest crab, shrimp, lobster, halibut, turbot, all kinds of things. And we now actually have a more prosperous, wealthier fishing industry, despite the cuts, because we're harvesting more exotic animals. The moose hunt goes on here every year. The seal hunt is a dubious issue, but most Newfoundlanders support it. It's just global support is what's waning. People hunt bear, caribou, coyote. Most people in rural areas slip rabbits. It's part of our lifestyle, our culture to live off the land, and it's what makes us hearty and unique.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unemployment there, but nobody's starving because everybody knows how to live off the land. I mean, this is, it's fantastic.
Also part of our culture, Newfoundlanders, the island of Newfoundland was the first settled body in all of North America by members from Europe. Vikings were here in 1100, and Columbus came across in 1492. So when you consider we've got 500 years of history living on this frozen clot of dirt in the Atlantic Ocean, we need a certain character to want to stay here, especially if you experience our winters.
Though I hear this winter is not too bad, until recently, I guess.
Where did you hear that?
That's what Jeff was telling me. Your buddy from Ubuntu, who's also big time promoting this eco village.
Yeah, he's on the East Coast. Don't mind him. The Newfoundland has a very, very diverse climate. My area will experience a very different environment than Jeff's area. He's on the central area of the province. It's on a huge plateau in the central north, I guess. But the issue is that we have water from the Straits of Belle Isle that is cooled by the Labrador Current. It's all cold water. And the Gulf Stream mix all around Newfoundland. St. John's, our capital city, the easternmost community in the entirety of North America, is the foggiest city on Earth. It is the most days of precipitation, fog, rain, snow, on Earth. So their weather is very, very different from the weather up here, which is more cold and miserable and less balmy and wet. So
needless to say, there's a lot of indoor activities going on the island.
As a matter of circumstance, less a matter of choice. Most people in Newfoundland have a snowmobile. Many of them have quads. I've spoken with several people who have several cabins, one for moose hunting, one for ice fishing, one for snowmobiling in different parts of the province. Because there's so little land actually settled, you can request from the government a lease of an acre of crown land relatively easily. So many people either build cabins or inherit cabins that have been grandfathered before these leasing laws. And even on snowmobile trails, we have what's called shiver shacks, where you snowmobile for so long, you get cold and wet, it gets dark. You go into a little cabin that's supported by the snowmobile associations, light a fire in the potbelly stove, have a boil up, and warm up, and then you get out and leave again. And people donate wood to these places because it keeps them happy and comfortable. It's very tribal and happy and cooperative most of the time.
Yeah, no, it sounds similar to what where I used to live in Ottawa. That you have all these shacks up on the cross country ski trails, and I'm sure you have the similar kind of. You have cross country ski trails up there too in the winter, right? I love Canada and I love the winters. I mean, it's my favorite time of year. There's so much stuff you can do outside once you get used to it. The key is just getting out there and doing it, because once you get active outside, you're never cold. If anything, you start sweating.
Depends what you're doing. It can get awful cold ice fishing.
Oh, I've never gone ice fishing. I'm sure my son would love to do that sometime. We've often seen, yeah. Well, you got your shack though, man. You got your shack and your wood stove going, right? When you're ice fishing.
And we don't normally recommend having an open fire when you're on top of the ice. That doesn't normally bode well for very long activities.
Well, I've seen them, man. I've seen them. They put them up high so that the heat doesn't get down to the ice.
That can work in moderation if it's done properly, but I wouldn't recommend putting a potbelly stove on the lake surface. You can try it, see how it goes.
Well, I guess the ice is thick around here, where I am, but it should be pretty thick up there too. So
before the winter, before Christmas, there was a town, I want to say somewhere in central. Most communities in rural Newfoundland have their drinking water coming from ponds in the hills around the community. It's a very hilly province. And this particular town lost their water. No one knew why until they checked it out. The pond that the entire town got their water from froze from top to bottom. Solid. There was no liquid water anymore. It gets cold.
Well, I guess the wind chill must be, unbelievable when you get those big winds going. I mean, yikes. You don't want to get caught in one of those storms, eh?
Well, I had a few months ago now, I guess, we had a windstorm where the winds for about 12 hours were consistently 160 kph and higher. Which was, of course, is considerable. It's like stay off the roads kind of thing. And I found out today that one of the buildings in Rodington, the nearest considerable settlement to me, one of the buildings collapsed due to snow load. It's a large commercial building that we rely on, imploded because of the snow on the roof.
Oh yeah, and then we were discussing how much supplies you had around, because you're a back to the earther type, and you know about the importance of food security. So what was your answer?
Many people here who hunt and fish have a lot of food stocked up. Unfortunately, my wife and I only bought this house last year, and we're still transitioning into living in an outpoor community, so we weren't as prepared as people who have a deep freeze full of berries, another deep freeze full of fish, another deep freeze full of moose. We're not quite there just yet.
Yeah. I mean, a moose is 2,000 pounds, folks. I mean, that's a lot of meat if you get a moose. I mean, what a great way to meet your meat requirement.
It's no problem if you have a big enough moose to feed a small family all winter off of one animal. My parents have friends who go hunting and give my parents a quarter of moose every year, and they have food left over in the spring. So they're big animals.
Yeah, and they're organic, right? Well
so.
fed by the environment.
Moose are actually an invasive species. They aren't indigenous to Newfoundland. They were brought here just before the 1900s and just after the 1900s. Two different species were introduced. One from Labrador and one from Maine, I think, because Newfoundland is the shape of a lowercase b, basically, with the northern peninsula on the northeast coast and a large body in the middle central. And most of the central portion of the province is a huge swamp. So short, squat Arctic moose don't survive well in the marshy water. They tend to get stuck and die. So from documents that I've read, we imported a northern, which looks more like a cow, moose, which is better adapted to the cold weather and the tundra, for the northern parts of northern parts of the northern peninsula. And another kind of moose from a more southerly region, I think it was the Maritimes or Maine, New England area, to live in Newfoundland's southern region that's more stocky, like a deer. And I've heard that both varieties of moose taste very different. One is more beefy, one is more gamey, but I don't recall experiencing both for contrast, so it's hard for me to say.
Okay. And so do you get, 90% of our audience is American. Do you get a lot of Americans going up there to hunt and fish? Or to, ecotourism kind of stuff?
Yes, there's a fair amount of tourism. Well, tourism is the lion's share of our economy right now. I'd say it's our largest contributor of financial resources to our budget. But we have a lot of outfitters, people who will take you into the woods on snowmobiles, and they'll hunt and fish and live the way they think Newfoundlanders live. But there are a lot of a lot of Americans have bought houses here after 9/11. People don't realize that when the airplanes were grounded from American flights, a lot of them came here. And like 10,000, 15,000 people or something were stuck in Newfoundland, and we simply didn't have enough hotels. So people took the tourists home with them. If you actually look up the influence of 9/11 on Newfoundland, there's actually a book published called The Day America Came to Town, or something similar, where Gander filled every spare bed with people who had nowhere else to go. And a lot of those people bought houses here afterwards and became dual citizenship because they loved and missed the island so much. Part of our nature.
Well, I mean, that's an excellent point because, I remember George Bush talking about how hospitable Canadians were, especially the ones in Newfoundland. So, it didn't hurt you, to be your normal hospitable selves. You were probably, like you say, you drummed up some business for the province. And, hey, that's what it's all about. You attract business, when you're friendly. I mean, this is one of the great parts of Newfoundland, eh?
Well, one thing you've got to consider, too, is we're a maritime province. We import a lot, like our our provincial beverage is Jamaican black rum, and Jamaica's national food is Atlantic salt cod. And there's a reason for that. You've also got to realize that for 500 years, most people, and I mean most of the people who've lived here, made their lives on the water in some shape, form, or fashion. So the idea of not coming to the rescue in traditional Newfoundland is a very aberrant idea. We can't imagine if someone needs help to not render assistance. It's in our blood. If you look at the story of the Pollock in World War II, I want to say, it was a frigate, I think, that went ashore near the town of St. Lawrence on Newfoundland's southeast coast. And there's actually a book, The Winter's Tale. The story of the Florizel is a similar one. But these people in small towns saw the shipwreck, left their homes in the middle of a winter storm that actually ran a World War II naval vessel aground. These people went out in dories and dinghies to save survivors. And that's just part of our culture. When you know one of these days your husband or your son could be on a boat in a foreign town, you'd want them to save your family. So it's understood. It's just part of the code of the maritime cultures. So when it came to situations like 9/11, it's not really a question. You don't need to ask, are there any beds available for those people who have nowhere else to go and otherwise are sleeping on the streets when they are visitors to your home? Like, I can't wrap my head around the idea of people allowing homeless. For example, there's negligible homeless in Newfoundland. It's not a concept we're familiar with. So the idea of, there's another example. There's an American family who love to salmon fish here for a few weeks every year, so much they bought a parcel of land and built a house on a salmon river just to spend 2, 3, 5 weeks a year here. They enjoy the culture so much, and when they're not here, they're missed. I listened to a CBC radio broadcast about this particular family. We definitely have a unique culture for welcoming people among our midst.
Okay, that's great, Robin. Good place to leave it. We're going to just go on another break here, folks. Thanks for listening to I Am Nature. Welcome back to I Am Radio, folks. Brian Porter here is your host. Angela Black is my kind of like my co-host this week, although she's supposed to be my producer. How you doing, Angela?
Doing fine, thank you. Always excited to learn more about the Newfie life. And it's funny. I have a friend of mine. He's a broadcast person. He was a longtime radio host on a syndicated show. Gosh, for more than 2.5 decades, something like that. And he said to me the other day, he goes, Angela, what's with all the Canadians? The thing is, I find myself hanging out with a lot of Canadians online, and I know there are some in the audience as well. Shout out to our friend Nick, who is listening in and wanted to join, by the way. And I hope to introduce you all soon. But he is actually exhausted from a bike ride and a few other things right now, so he's just listening in and is very impressed. And I'm happy to be here with you and Robin, and we're hoping that we can grab a couple of the other guys into the call, but I have not heard word from them yet. So, and I did want to just give a quick shout out to everyone to say, hey, you're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. We are listener supported, and you can help keep this boat afloat by donating and or finding the site support button on the top of the homepage, and find a way to donate a few bucks, because we keep rolling. If you've noticed, you're not hearing political commercials, you're not hearing a corporate agenda, you're not hearing any of that. You're hearing basically the only promos you're hearing are show promos, etc. I think a couple of hosts have sponsors, but that is not the name of the game here, and that is why we are awesome. That's why we have free speech here, because nobody's puppeteering us, as far as what we can and cannot say. So please do find yourself at the donate button, and also just shout out to everyone in the chat. There you go.
All right. Good stuff, Angela. Now, Robin, getting back to the good, clean living up there in Newfoundland, I mean, we were talking about the culture of the shipwreck and the number of people, hardy Newfoundlanders that have had lost their lives on the rugged shores and the going out fishing and whatnot. And I would think that these diving expeditions would love to go to these places where there's a ton of shipwrecks. Is that happening yet?
There are people who have outfitting expeditions for diving. I'm pretty sure in the Trinity area, Bonavista and Clarenville, Random Island portion of the province. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of diving over there. There's also diving near Cape Race, which is incidentally where the Titanic's distress call was received here in robust Newfoundland. So I would anticipate, my God, I would suspect there are more people who've drowned in the waters around Newfoundland in the past 5 centuries than there are people who are currently living here now. It's just one of the costs of doing business.
Well, Reg sent me this picture of the waves coming in. There was a 100-foot cliff, and these waves were clearing the cliff, folks. It looked unbelievably beautiful. But wow, that's some major wave action.
Some days.
Yeah, I can see why a lot of ships have problems or have had problems. I guess nowadays it's a lot safer, right?
It is, with new marine navigation and that sort of stuff. I worked with fisheries last year as an observer living on the fishing boats, monitoring their catch and bycatch and code compliance and things on behalf of the government. And I learned a lot. But when you consider that coves and bays and inlets and towns are named by something that makes it relevant to the people who are navigating, like we have places like Savage Cove, Dead Man's Cove, Rocky Harbor, so there are many areas around the province that are known to be hostile, though on the West Coast, which is where I'm from, the prettiest and best place to live, in my humble opinion, it's the much more consistent weather than on the East Coast that's more beaten by the Atlantic Ocean. We're relatively sheltered on the west-hand side of the island.
Well, you know what? You told me something about that sort of sealed the deal for me in terms of moving up there at some point. I mean, for sure I'm going to be helping out in the summers, but, it might take me 5 years to live there permanently. But you said it's like an hour and 15 minutes away is the most amazing ski hill. It's probably one of the best in eastern North America. It's called Marble Mountain, right?
Yes. Corner Brook is the largest commercial center on the West Coast, without a doubt, and it may even be the largest commercial center outside the capital city. And the area in which I am building my future off-site, off-grid utopia is approximately 120 kilometers, 70 miles, I guess, south of Corner Brook. And just outside Corner Brook, we're talking about 10 kilometers, is Marble Mountain. With, I think the statistics we read before was about 1,800 feet altitude, 700 meters.
I was shocked at how much elevation there was. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's virtually a sheer cliff because the Corner Brook area is known as the Humber Valley, which happens to be a glacial fjord, and it is 3 or 4 times deeper than it is wide in places. About 10 years ago, a transport truck drove off the highway and fell into the river. We never found the truck.
Oh, God.
We sent down, I could be mistaken, but it was a 450-foot sounding and never struck, 450 meter, about 700 feet sounding, and never hit bottom. We assume the truck is down there somewhere, but the current in the Humber River, which is where Deer Lake actually feeds into the ocean, the current is so strong, it's only really navigable by inflatable boats because the currents, there's undertows, it's really ridiculous. But Marble Mountain overlooks Steady Brook, which is on the Humber River. There are 38 or 39 different runs. They had a lightning strike there recently, and their largest ski lift kind of fried, and it's been out of commission since the summer. But Marble Mountain is a ridiculous boon to the economy, and that is just one ski resort. Its slogan is best skiing east of the Rockies. There's also a cross-country ski resort called Blow Me Down, which, if you live here, you'll appreciate why it's called that. And that goes over most of the Gaff Topsails, which is where the highest point is, 815 meters. The highest point in the province is in the Bay of Islands, Humber Valley area.
Yeah, that's about, 2,500 feet?
Yeah, 2,500 feet. Something like that, yeah, right around there. I
Yeah.
just came up with some affectionate terms. I just wanted to say, is there like Lost Limb Island and Slip and Die Cliff and,
Pretty well.
Drown and Freeze River?
This is actually a pretty cute story. At the base of Marble Mountain, or very near the base, there's an area called Pancake Island. And there's a natural formation called Man in the Mountain. It's an Indian head that was naturally carved in the cliff face looking down upon Pancake Island. Now, it's called Pancake Island because when people did logging in Deer Lake and floated the logs down the Humber River to Corner Brook for the pulp and paper mill, they used to stop at Pancake Island for breakfast on their way to Deer Lake. It's about 50 kilometers. So they'd all stop in Pancake Island for breakfast and mosey on so far to Pasadena and on farther on. And that was one of the stories. We do have some unfortunate names for land masses that people normally get a giggle out of, but they're actually not meant to be funny. If you've ever been in a rowboat, there's a wishbone-shaped piece of metal that your oar locks into. It isn't called an oar lock, but it's called a dildo. Okay? So bear with me. They're called dildos. They were called dildos before anything else was. There's a town in Newfoundland called Dildo, named after this particular oar lock mechanism. So, particularly depraved people who visit the province usually enjoy taking the detour to Dildo to take a photo near the town sign. And no, there's no statue. I assure you, I've heard those gags before.
I'm sure.
We do have... There's a town in Newfoundland called Nameless Harbor, which I find particularly ironic. We have Dead Man's Cove, we have Bishop Falls, we have the Happy Valley and Goose Bay are in Labrador. We do have Pasadena, which is a sister community to Pasadena, California. And there's actually an agreement that tourism goes back and forth, and there's a caravan of RVs from California that visit their sister town in Newfoundland every year.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm not certain where it comes from. We also have a town called Paradise, out by St. John's, but they built it on the wrong coastline. They should have built it over here. Not that I'm biased.
Not at all. So why don't we get back to the the Eco Village, Robin? Because
thank you for
I'm
all
sure a lot of
that
people,
trivia. Though I did want to say thank you for all that trivia. That's very interesting stuff. You know, it's quite unique, and to have a person such as yourself on the show talking about your area, it's nice that you are informed and can give us all these interesting stories. So thank you for that.
Like I said, tourism is important to us.
Yeah, no, it's all great information, and it's. It's not the best known area, even for Canadians. A lot of Canadians know very little about Newfoundland. It is kind of isolated by the water, and a 5-hour ferry ride is, for a lot of people that's a far distance. So, but I'm looking forward to getting out there this summer for sure, and hopefully on a sailboat, not on a ferry. So let's get back to Eco Village. What's the term you tier? What's it called again? Tier
Torngira. The etymology is, I'm sure you've heard of Tir na Nog. It's a fairy tale. Irish story. Basically, when you dream in Irish legend, you go to a place where fairies live, where anything is possible, where you can fly, where you can play with fairies and Tinkerbells and stuff. That's Tir na Nog. A place of dreams is what it is in Irish Gaelic. Tir Torngira is Irish Gaelic for a place of promise. If humans have Tir na Nog to go to, the fairies, who are native to Tir na Nog, go to Tir Torngira, which is basically the promised land, where there's no such thing as hunger or sickness or fatigue. No one grows old. It's a paradise that fairies would want to go to, which I think is a beautiful term. If you read any fantasy, Shadowrun books and stuff, many Elvish cultures in modern urban fantasy are from Tir-Tungira. That's the place where elves are native. So I thought it would be appropriate, and it's kind of an original name. I haven't heard of a community that is named for an Irish legend before. So it all worked out well, and it has the advantage of being so difficult to pronounce that I get to correct people regularly.
Well, that's a beautiful story. I really, I was going to say it reminds me of the way the elves were depicted in Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
The way they lived.
The way if those elves in the Tolkien legend had an afterlife, that would be Tir-Tungira, Place of Promise.
Wow. Well, it sounds like we're going to attract a lot of nature spirits. That's all I can say. It's awesome. Awesome name, man. I love that.
You guys want to hear a bad joke?
I didn't realize the significance of it. Did you hear that, Angela?
Yeah, I just heard that. I was mentioning, do you want to hear a bad joke?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so what do you call a forest dweller with his wits about him? Are you ready? Know I'm saying? Know I'm saying? Get it? Like saying no.
I got it.
Know I'm saying? Sorry. Sorry.
That was dry by my standards, so well done.
Thank you. Anyway, okay, yeah. So back to Tir-Tungira. Tir-Tungira. Am I saying it right?
Close enough.
What's close enough? Tir-Tungira.
Torn-gira.
Tir-Tungira.
There we go.
There we go. Yay.
It's a toughie.
So, can we tell people about your website that you have now? It's under construction. Is that okay? We bring this up, or
By all means.
Okay, great. So it's the Gosse Foundation is it .ca?
.org.
Oh, it's .org. Okay. .ca.
Yep. GOSSE. thegossefoundation.org. Under heavy construction. Unfortunately, I have that whole job thing, so it kind of distracts me from things that I want to do with my spare time. But I'm in the process of developing the website to showcase the bulk of our research. The Gosse Foundation, as an organization, isn't made official yet. It's more of a philosophy, an idea that we believe that efficiency, comfort, food, these sorts of things are basic human rights, and we are in the Eco-Village is a project of the Gosse Foundation, among others. In the Eco-Village, we'll explore different greenhouse technology. It will explore different housing construction, like hobbit houses, shipping container housing, log cabins, tiny houses, and every one will be slightly different. We'll then take measurements and sensor data on all the different buildings. It'll all go into the Gosse Foundation archive, free to use for anybody, anytime, open access, like a library. We believe that anyone who seeks to deny you information seeks to control you, because ignorance makes slaves, but knowledge empowers people. So the more information we can provide people to make educated decisions, the more freedom we can sow on a grassroots manner. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no law against giving away information that you yourself created. Also, if we send this information to public open source venues, we are contributing to the open source community that gave us the information with which we have built and designed the Eco-Village in the beginning. So, for example, Revolution Radio pretty much embodies a large part of what we're trying to accomplish. So I would love to, at particular intervals, send packages of all of our data in raw format and or processed format to add to your donation fundraising project. There's a book or a DVD that you're giving away. Mm-hmm. You're selling for fundraising. We'd be happy to contribute our data free of charge to anybody to include in your package to help sweeten the deal. If they donate to you, they also get a hard copy of all this information. It'll help. Because decentralization is the key to security. If we have all the information in one place, the government could theoretically shut us down if they felt sufficiently threatened. The more people we give the data to, the harder it is to shut it up. So, in the interest of supporting you guys, and you've done so much for us so far already. It'll be our pleasure to provide you with access to our data to do with as you please. If that includes adding it to your package, so be it. We're happy to help.
That's amazing. That is just perfect. That is
Fantastic.
along the exact mentality that Brian promotes, I promote, and of course that Revolution Radio promotes. The sharing of information. So that's great. I'm sure Nighthawk will be very happy to include your information along with his survival information. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, we talked the first time I talked with Robin. I mean, he's just like such a fountain of information. It's hard to believe he's only 30 years old. I can't believe it. The guy is pretty smart. Incredibly smart. And he was talking to me about he had plans to put in special boxes to like tiered boxes for growing potatoes, and that kind of stuff. Explain that to the listener. I mean, I thought that was so fascinating. How you could grow so many potatoes in a very small area.
Sure. It's not an original idea. By rights, nothing anyone does anymore is original. It's just a new hodgepodge of old data. But the concept, if you look up Tater Tower online, you'll find all the information you need to build them. But we intend to use these Tater Towers, which also, by the way, can grow sweet potatoes and peanuts. We're currently validating this information claim, but theoretically you can grow peanuts in a greenhouse in your basement in these tater tower type units to your heart's content. We're still proving that and testing it. The way it works is you have a series of 4-sided boxes, like a drawer with no bottom, and you can put this on a concrete floor. On the bottom tier, it's a 2-foot cube. There's a door. Okay, you fill a cube full of dirt, healthy soil designed to propagate potatoes. High acidity, high potassium, I think. High nitrogen. You fill it full of dirt, and you put a seeded sprouted potato, or two, in the bottom of the box. When the green, the actual legume greenery, sprouts out of the top of the soil, you culture it and prune it, make sure it's happy and healthy, and sing to it and do whatever. And when the green gets above 18 or so inches, you put it in a new box, and it acts like a trellis to shape the plant a little bit. And you add dirt until the plant grows up and up and up out of the second tier box. Rinse, repeat. New box, new dirt, plant grows, new box, new dirt, until you're 18, 20 feet high, right? 9, 10 layers, tiers. At that point, it's already been 2 or 3 months. And at that point, the plant is officially 20 feet tall. Because of the nature of a potato being both a tuber and a vine, and I'm only reciting secondhand information. Of course, I haven't done this yet. I haven't built the community yet. But by virtue of it being a tuber and a vine, any tuber and vine will grow in the system, like sweet potatoes, like peanuts, theoretically. When the plant gets to the top of a 20-foot tower, you go into the bottom, open the door, and you can scoop out or have 2 doors and push out all the dirt in the bottom layer. And you will then push out the original potato and the first few sprouts, which are now fully grown. You then finish cleaning out the bottom of the box, close the doors, climb the tower, and push the whole column down. So the whole plant bumps down 2 feet. Add more dirt, take care of the top. Before long, it depends on the plant and the conditions, of course, you can do the same thing in the bottom again. Take out all the potatoes in the bottom tier. Rinse, repeat. Potatoes are actually perennial, but industrial monocrop farming doesn't let them be perennial because you've got to tear the roots out to get to the potato. This way, you maintain the middle column of plant is always in nutrient, is always in the cycle. They've had potatoes last 2, 3, 4 years. If you fill one of my greenhouses, the 15 by 15 foot thing, with 50 or 60 of these towers, you can grow more potatoes than more potatoes than 1 acre of conventional farm because you're growing them all year round, daily harvest, vertical farming in 3 dimensions. So you can grow approximately, secondhand data, of course, 6,000 pounds of spuds in a typical bedroom in that area, at least. And that's per greenhouse.
Yeah. That's called growing power.
And if you look up Tater Tower, you'll find blueprints all over the place in an image search. And that's the nature of the open source community. If you think you can do it better, if you think 3 feet square is a better idea, do it. Prove it. Show us. And we all can learn.
Absolutely amazing. So we could feed and probably sell a ton of potatoes just from one greenhouse with these special stacked tater boxes.
2 tons, technically, 3 tons. I did an estimate, and assuming we can feed 4 people in a 15-foot by 15-foot greenhouse, and if you're able to factor in the economies of scale and skill sets and climate and all kinds of variables, within a reasonable margin of error, I expect we could feed the population of Toronto, which is 3.5 million, in 100 square kilometers. 10 by 10. I could be mistaken, but that's the number that my calculations came up with, and there's an impossible number of variables. But that's a fair idea of how much we can feed a city that size within walking distance of the city's perimeter. If you wrap the entire city in farms in a concentric pattern, you might have 200 or 300 meters thick, and the entire town is fed. Or put them on the rooftops. Feed them in the building you're in. So lacking imagination is really no excuse to not being able to feed people locally.
Yeah, and then there's no GMO. There's no need to preserve anything for shipping. There's no wasted packaging. Transportation costs are minimal. I mean, it's just like I don't know how many times more efficient it is, but it's certainly a hell of a lot better for the planet to have everything done local. I mean, it's just, like you say, it's the way we used to do things everywhere. And
just
we've gotten away from that.
Just imagine how much carbon you can displace by putting trees back on all the billions of acres of industrial farms, not shipping bananas from Guatemala or Argentina up here for us to eat, not flying produce across the planet, not transporting it from the boat to the grocery store, from the grocery store to another grocery store to your house, if it's in your backyard. Imagine not spending any money on all of the transportation costs. The danger is, if everyone built one of my greenhouses, I'd be ridiculously wealthy because I'd be teaching the implementation methods. But it would literally collapse the economy because 30% of many people's income they spend on food. If you're not buying the food, to hell with it. You're not paying people to stock shelves. You're not paying people to bring the food in. It could cripple the economy if people don't maintain the existing systems, which could be good or bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, we'll get back. That's a good point. We'll get back to that after the break. You're listening to I Am Nature with Brian Porter and Angela Black and guest Robin Gosse.
Welcome back to I Am Nature with Brian Porter and myself, Angela Black, as kind of the unofficial co-host / producer person. Today we have Robin Gosse on as our guest, who is the founder, as I was seeing in chat, people were wondering what the website is again, the founder of the GosseFoundation.org, which will be the basis for the new eco community that is to be laid. The ground shall be laid soon. The plans will be in action, etc. And gosh, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss right now. But yeah, they were wondering what your website is. So again, it's TheGosse foundation.org, and you can find a lot of information there. I signed up. There's also a forum going on, so you can go to the forum. I think that's /forum, and there are a bunch of different departments that are in the process of being created right now by Robin. And again, the name of the eco community is Tir Torngira. Did I do it right?
Yep.
Yay, I got it right. Woo woo. So please do check that out. Now, you were writing something in the Skype chat, and I would love for you to repeat that, because I just want to say one thing. Every time I hear you talk, Robin, I do want to say that your integrity, the integrity behind this project and movement, is always solid, from its name and everything that you're talking about today regarding the space saving and smart gardening moments, all of it. It's just it all makes sense. It's all probably one of the reasons that it's not happening in the upside down, backwards world that we live in now. But you're here to change that. You're actually a mover and a shaker in that movement. So let's see, what you wrote above here was that you sounded a little like a doomer. But go ahead if you wanted to elaborate on what you wrote. That would be great.
Sure. Before the break, I mentioned one of the concerns if we, let's pretend in the world of fantasy land that my mission succeeds and I'm not shot first, people have been killed for less, that the food security revolution takes place. That it is decided that a company with the same clout as Monsanto, for example, discovers my method works. Say they buy me out or snuff me off or something, take my work, and then they turn the entire country into a food security network where every individual in the rural areas who has the space is maybe mandated by law, for example, to make a greenhouse, feed their own selves in order to save resources, dwindling oil, whatever. Let's say that at some point grocery stores no longer exist because you grow everything you need on your own land. The intrinsic problem with that, and this is a lead-in to my doomer statement, is it will destroy, not cripple, it will obliterate the economy. If there's any, I hope our listeners can appreciate how much money is made and how much money is put into the economy, not by the groceries you buy. You know, spending $12 for a box of chicken wings is not going to save or break the economy, but manufacturing that chicken, packaging it, shipping it, storing it, keeping it cold in transit, filling the fuel station to power that truck to bring it to your location, paying the driver, the grocery store clerk, stock clerks, the grocery store pays taxes, and so on and so on. If you erase all of that, you're taking, by some estimates, as high as a third of the economy out. Our spending power, for some people, especially lower incomes, spend as much as a third of their income on food. Junk food, actual diet, whatever. It's embarrassing how much money we spend on food, which you can't really do without. So, by some definitions, is a form of slavery. It's the same kind of thing as gasoline, but you can technically walk. Try going without food for a few weeks and see how well it works for you. So, the comment that Angela referred to was that I worry that at some point, if the government knew what I was doing, if I was working in a vacuum, there would be a mysterious gas leak or a forest fire, and we'd all burn to death. Because the danger implied in food security, just because it'll cripple the system, doesn't necessarily mean the system isn't ready to be crippled. If the Dirty 30s hadn't happened, World War II wouldn't have happened. It's one of the contributing factors. That the economy was necessary. The Treaty of Versailles from World War I caused World War II. They were so crippled in their economy that they needed a war to stimulate the economy. There are times when a period of transition is required, and there are times when a particular system doesn't know it's dead yet. So, pure laissez-faire capitalism, the idea of let's rape, pillage, burn, and steal whatever we can, to hell with our children, is not sustainable. It will eventually die. It's dead already. They just don't know. So my concern is that at some point, you may never hear from me again. There may be a forest fire, there may be a military coup, there may be an exercise in which a small village is burned to the ground as a munitions test. Who knows? But the more people who know about my work, the better chance that won't happen. And this isn't a life preservation thing so much as it is, I've invested 15 years, half of my life, in making this happen. The more people who try it, the more people who make the effort, the better chance it'll affect change protesters were a huge reason for the end of the Vietnam War. People can make a difference if each individual realized their power. If every person in Canada built a greenhouse, not much effort. You can buy them from Canadian Tire. If you built a greenhouse, taught your kids how to raise food, they'd appreciate it more. You want your kid to learn empathy? Get them a micro goat, get them a chicken, a duck, and teach them to care for it, teach them to love it. These types of things have more to gain than we have to lose. And if the worst thing that happens is by growing food, we all feed ourselves, we all live happy, healthy lives, and we save the fuel required to transport food to overpriced grocery stores, I can live with that. But it's important to me that as many people experiment with this as possible. That's why I'm telling you where to find the information. I'll give you directions. Email me. I'll give you a building plan. The effects and benefits of food security for people in Canada and elsewhere, I say Canada because it's damn cold here. Growing season is pretty short sometimes. If we can grow all of our own food within 100 feet, it will change the world more than anyone can imagine. And if that's my contribution to the world, like Tesla, Nikola Tesla did things with technology that we can't understand now. He died penniless because the American government and various agencies, Thomas Edison being one of them, saw to it that his work never saw the light of day. The CIA still keep his work secret. He wanted free, limitless power for the world. He created radio and gave it away. Mm-hmm. The doctor who made the polio vaccine gave the technology away because he wanted to kill polio. He did not make any money off of it. He donated it to Africa. I want to do the same thing. People deserve to eat. I've been hungry. I didn't like it very much. So if I can create the first generation that went without hunger, that if everyone knew greenhouse production, the cultural shift, to speak nothing of the economic one, would be so powerful, it will change the world overnight. And I would like that to be my gift, my legacy. Even if I don't, retire to a mansion made of gold, I would like very much to remember and be remembered for my contribution, if I can.
Wow. I think that's going to happen. And the beauty is that you have already started to get the word out. Let me, through Facebook, through this radio show, et cetera, through all these networks, you're meeting people daily. We have good people like Brian, who's bringing, people like us together. All the different people that are interested. There are a lot of people who are curious and really want to learn and just have that light turned on in their head. Oh, I can grow my own food, and it doesn't matter that I'm in a a difficult environment for that. There are solutions to that, and it's funny because we should all know how to grow food, obviously. And so I was referring to you as the Einstein of nature in a couple of personal conversations I had, but I think you're more of the Tesla of sustenance. I don't know if sustenance is the right word, but of sustainability. There you go, the Tesla of sustainability. Food sustainability.
Hey guys, can I get in here for a sec?
Oh, please do. You're back. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I'm back. I was listening to Robin, his good points he was making there. Yeah, I think that what's going to happen, Robin, is that this isn't going to happen overnight. Everyone's not going to start growing their food overnight. And it's just going to be a slow a change. It could take a generation, maybe two, and that everything will adjust. So as more and more food is grown by people, and we'll need less and less. So it's like the video stores. They slowly went down in numbers, right? And it's the same with the way we use fuel. That's going to change too. The electrical cars are coming in and all that stuff. So I think it's going to blend in beautifully with the changes in all the other things. And I think what's going to happen with the way we see the economy is that we're going to look at the quality of life, not the quantity of life. And this is what we have to start telling people now when they're looking at, looking at politicians, and more people, I think, are going to start saying that. Let's look at quality, not quantity, because that's really what matters.
I agree with you, though I am prepared for this to take 50, 60 years or more to percolate through culture. But I'm also prepared, just doing the social calculus in my head, I guess, of different factors. If we catch the proper corporation, the proper for-profit that can take my non-profit's work. Monsanto has been on the go for 50 years, but they've done an awful lot in the past 10. That if we can find the proper Canadian or even transnational organization with enough clout that intends to sell these greenhouses and sell training and sell the equipment, all the prefabricated frames, service contracts, whatever. I don't really care who profits from it as long as people get fed and they aren't gouged from the process. I think it's possible that we could all be startled by how fast this happens. And you mentioned other conditions too, but take, for example, conventional telephone service. They're being destroyed by voice over IP. They are they're government-mandated monopolies controlled by the CRTC, and voice over IP is not. These huge cable providers, digital cable, are being screwed by groups like Hulu, by Netflix, by YouTube. And the world is changing from the old way in which things are controlled by paper and pencil to the new way in which they're controlled by supercomputers. So every individual has the power to say, anyone who can hold a hammer, who knows what end of a saw to grab onto, can build one of these. That's kind of the idea. If you can build the box to put the potatoes in, you can build a tater tower. And if you can build one box, you can build a dozen, and you can feed your entire community with potatoes. Making these things marketable, and the more marketable we're able to, the better, and the more decentralized the research. The more sites I have replicating my work, the safer it'll be, so that there's no military action can silence me. But I'm really counting on a organization with a lot of clout to come behind and attempt to make $1 off of the work and distribute the research and make a change quickly. Because if there's money to be made, you know that a corporation will find a way to squeeze the blood out of a turnip.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to stay decentralized and we're going to get a lot of people. If you were looking at housing, greenhouse construction, I would like to see a model where every community, just like there's plumbers and electricians and whatnot, people get involved in it and start doing it at a small level. I don't really favor one corporation coming along because I just have a feeling they're going to make it very expensive. They're going to ruin the whole thing. So I would hope that I know we can't control these things, but I hope that it's going to be something that is decentralized. Everything should be decentralized.
I agree, and this is a condition of cognitive dissonance. Both can be true. There are people who don't know how a toilet works, who can't fix one. There are people who can't change a fuse in a fuse panel. There are people who will pay you to do work for them rather than do it themselves. This information is already public source. I've dumped my building plans for these greenhouses on every permaculture site I can find. Anyone who wants one can have one. So a corporation can spread the word and make it marketable to everybody, but anyone who wants to make it themselves can get the plans for free, the same way that the tater tower is available online for free. So I think both can be true.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be both. The people that are handy are going to do it for themselves, and the people that aren't, or, they have lots of money, are going to say, hey, I want my greenhouse. It's been proven to keep me healthy. I mean, that's the other thing. The cost savings in healthcare are just going to be astronomical if we start eating properly. I mean, that's where Michael Baker's life fits in perfectly. 80 years of organic food, living in a beautiful, intentional community, and the guy's going strong at 80, and he said he did a test where they tested his level of health and strength and coordination. He said, I tested at age 51. The guy's 80. So, and he wasn't bragging. He just wanted to make the point that, hey, when we start living the way we used to, eating good food, And it's also good to be in the garden to get some exercise too, to get some, in connection with it. All these factors, we're going to be a lot healthier society, and we're going to get rid of a lot of the problems.
I agree. I was on another interview earlier today, and trying to explain to the host that humanity evolved taking out saber-toothed tigers and woolly mammoths with pointy sticks. We were not designed to sit behind a desk like I'm ironically doing right now. They were not designed to drive cars and taxis. We were evolved to hunt. We were evolved to hunt better than the critters that were hunting us, which is why we're capable of becoming Iron Men, why we're capable of doing significant Olympic events, track and field and deadlifting and martial artists. So by virtue of all people being equal, different but equal, there's no reason why we can't all have a different standard for ourselves and for others in our diet, in our physical exercise, whatever. It's our expectations and our imagination that limit us, not biology. I used to work with a guy in a furniture warehouse. He was a diabetic. He could legitimately pick me up, body and bones, and throw me onto a stack of mattresses. It was terrifying. The guy had a metabolism that I've never seen before. And he was a diabetic. Many diabetics give up. They don't do what they used to do because they're diabetic now. It's expectations, it's self-imposed limits. And a lot of those conditions are caused by our environment. Chemicals, toxins, the hormones in beef. We're allowing ourselves to be poisoned so slowly and so completely, we have forgotten how to feel normal, which the individual just spoke of, 80 years in a sustainable community. That's the life I want to make for people. My ancestors lived on hard starches like stew vegetables and potatoes and carrot and turnip, cabbage, and salt fish for 8 months of the year. Now, mind you, they burned 6,000 calories per day. You can suck on a lot of spuds to absorb 6,000 calories. But if you don't work it off, how are you supposed to purge the chemicals from your body? So a lot changes when you eat better. You can detoxify your body. You have the energy to change things. You realize that if you have your own greenhouse, you're not going out shopping. That's a few hours a week you're going to save, to speak nothing of the commute back and forth. Now you have money. What are you going to do with it? You've got a new budget. Get a hobby. Maybe start jogging. Buy some new shoes. Everything can change.
Start writing books. Pick up a guitar. Play a flute.
Exactly.
Write a play. All the good things that we could be doing, but we're being slaves to a money god. And man, this is the key, folks. This is how we get away from that crazy lifestyle that just drains us and leaves us feeling weak and why am I here? I mean, why am I sitting in traffic 2 hours a day in both directions? Those sort of kind of like questions that people are asking themselves. This is the way to go, folks.
My real concern is cities are, by their very nature, malignant cancer on the landscape. They soak up and absorb healthy communities and become this pollution-vomiting hole in the environment. It absorbs and swallows everything in its path. It blackens the landscape. I don't care how clean a city you've got. By virtue of internal combustion vehicles on the roads, you're doing more damage than you're solving. So it would be a pivotal change when I get my project, the Eco Village, going. It'll be an example of how microculture can exist. I mean, I've been working past 2 days or so, Brian is aware of this loosely. I've been building a charter of rights and freedoms, a series of bylaws for members of the community in a way to bypass bureaucracy. If all the rules are free and clear, you don't need leadership. If you all know why you're there, if you all have a community zeitgeist, if everyone in the town knows the ambition, that greenhouse needs to be maintained. Great. What isn't eaten is sold. The profits go back into a new greenhouse. We hire more people to run that one. And if all of your rights are free and clear, if there's a clear conflict resolution, it can bypass so many problems caused by overpopulation. And you can have a pretty incredible population density if you do what I'm doing on a large scale, actually significantly higher than a rural community with individual detached houses. Because you don't need a land lot as big as you have if you share share property in a community. If it's a playground, you don't need your own playground. So life can change a lot if you have an example of a better way.
Right. Okay, well, I think we're getting near the end of our time here. Thanks a lot, Robin, for coming back on, and Angela for lending such a great hand to me. You're always the best.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys next week.
Cheerio.
Okay. Take care. Bye, all. Make sure you get the podcast for this show.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Hi, this is Bo.
And this is Rocco.
And the Bo and Rocco Show is here to offer insight into legal and lawful remedies. Our goal is to remain free and help others remain free in an ever-increasing police-like state. With the help of our guests, we try to answer questions such as what went wrong and what can we do about it.
So tune into Revolution Radio at www.freedomslips.com Wednesday nights, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to listen to the Bo and Rocco Show.
You don't need to expect us.
We're already here.
Revolution Radio.
Every Tuesday evening on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, we present our goddess spiritual warrior, Kathy Bilski.
I command. I call to the architect of the universe's divine creators and ask for permission to quantum leap the world in all life forms on all planes and dimensions, seen and unseen, connected with planet Earth, to let us go beyond our known potential into the greatest unknown golden age the universes and worlds and all planets have ever experienced.
Kathy teaches the spiritual truth so that you may create a better life and be able to make positive changes for yourself and for the planet. She helps us remember that we are not powerless, but very creative spiritual beings having an Earth experience. Time to quantum leap into the age of divine enlightenment and let Kathy provide you with the tools of knowledge you need to awaken spiritually. That's the Quantum Leap Show. Let Light Unite every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Studio B.
Did you ever feel